Today, we are talking about trade. We're in a constantly evolving world. The dynamics of the trade world, whether it's imports or exports, are always shifting. Of course, there's always news coming out about what's going on in the world of trade. So we're really here to talk about that and what opportunities may be coming for U.S. exporters in this trade world that we're living in. So we've got Jason here again today, our executive director, and we're going to cover what some of the implications of recent trade news might be. And like I said, where those opportunities lie for U.S. agricultural and food exporters.
Great.
All right. So Jason, at a high level, what does the recent trade news that we've been hearing mean for U.S. food and agricultural exporters?
Well, Tiffany, I think that it's no different than a lot of other trade news. Whenever you have trade news come out, it does kind of foster the change. If we live in an evolving world, change is a constant when it comes to international trade. So in the climate that exists today or that existed 2 months ago or 2 years ago, there's always flux. And, that's one thing. If you're going to be in the world of international trade, you do have to be ready for anything that may come down the pike. So that's kind of what we hope to do, is help our exporters deal with that, no matter what situation they find themselves in.
What near-term changes, if any, do you think U.S. exporters might see in global market conditions?
I think that really what I've noticed is the conversations are ongoing in these near-term times. The markets that I have been in recently, the U.S. quality speaks for itself, and people are wanting to do business with the U.S., whether it is importing or exporting. But, it's, again, anytime it's something that comes out that's a little bit different than it has been, people are curious. And so we have those conversations that are going on all the time. But really, I think that the way to work in any market is to continue to build relationships, no matter what the situation, because it is going to change. Whether that's, for the better or for the worse down the road is always to be determined later. But I think it's always about building relationships.
Yeah, I agree. I think that relationship building is very key to whatever situation we're in the trade world. Where do you see the greatest opportunities for U.S. exporters as trade dynamics shift?
I really think that the opportunities are really the same. And it exists because of the quality of the products that U.S. companies produce. And I think that when we go into the world market space, people know that our food is safe. They know that it is high quality. The products that come from that, whether it is a high-end meal or a commodity or a snack, they know that when they're buying from the U.S., it is going to be top quality. And that is something that always drives the market space. So I think that those are the opportunities, is continue doing what we do best, and that is to create high quality products. Mm-hmm.
How can exporters position themselves to really take advantage of maybe increased market access or increased competition as these dynamics are changing?
We touched on it a minute ago. Continue to build relationships as things change. Whatever happens today is going to be different than what happens tomorrow. But if you can build relationships, and I think that is one thing that I've spent my career working with people to make sure to understand that, in the U.S., relationships are really important. But when you step outside of U.S. borders and when you're trying to deal in the international market space, they are paramount. You have to have solid relationships to encourage people to buy your products, but also to protect yourself so you know who you're dealing with as well. It's always very, very important to do that. And I think if you can establish relationships and look to play a long game, that's going to benefit you all the way through, whether it's short-term or long-term.
How does market diversification factor into really building long-term export success?
I think it's market diversification is very important, not only on a micro scale, certainly macro scale. If you're talking from a national side, you need to look at this and say, okay, do we want all our eggs in that basket? Even because today it may be phenomenal, and then all of a sudden tomorrow it goes away for whatever reason that may be. And I think that's the same if you're a company. If you have one customer, it may be great today, but if something happens to that customer, whether it's somebody in the U.S. or somebody foreign, you have a big problem. So diversification is a key strategy, I think, probably from the get-go when somebody jumps into marketing at any level.
Yeah, great. That makes sense. Can you talk a little bit about how organizations like WUSADA can support U.S. ag exporters as they're navigating the world of trade?
Sure. First and foremost, we have opportunity to help people get access to MAP dollars. We can help them stretch their marketing dollar through that. But as important, we have contractors in markets throughout the world. And then we have staff that is very knowledgeable on all of these things that we deal with on an international market space. So we can help you with funding, we can help you in the market, and we can help you strategize about the market with our staff here locally.
Great. And just to wrap us up, what's one action that U.S. exporters can take now to really position themselves well in the future?
I think we've already done it. I think that, if you are in the U.S. and you are being successful here, it's because you do have a good product, and it is quality. I think that we continue that, and that is what we ride on all the time in the U.S. when we're dealing in international markets. It is always amazing when you're at a pavilion and a trade show, people seek out U.S. products because they know the quality exists.
Yeah. Well, great. Jason, thank you so much for joining me here today. I'm glad we had a chance to sit down and talk about the world that is ever evolving in trade.
Thank you.